then we also need offensive actions around prosecutions. We need real accountability, because at the end of the day, the people that have been inflicting this harm need to be prosecuted. They need to be brought before us, and they need to be held account for the trauma that they have created, and we are going to have some form of reparation.
All right, so we just heard Congresswoman Jayapal indicate that we need to have some accountability. We need to have some prosecutions of the individuals who've inflicted harm on, I'm assuming the context here is immigrants. And then she concluded her statement by saying, then we need some sort of form of reparations for this, because these people have been harmed. And I'm curious to know, since when do U.S. Congresswomen or men want to enact stiff penalties or punishments or prosecutions on Americans who are attempting to protect America from illegal immigrants who are in this country illegally? So now the American citizen is now the enemy. We are the tyrants who, in an effort to protect our country and the inhabitants thereof, I'm assuming she's talking about ICE, she wants to paint ICE agents and Border Patrol, and by extension, you, the American people who don't agree with open borders and illegal immigrants coming here without being vetted, she wants to paint you as if you've committed a crime and that you are deserving of stiff prosecution and penalties because you are the ones that have enacted harm on these people. Democrats, the mask is off. They're no longer pretending. They are no longer trying to make it seem as if they're fighting for you and that they're advocating for you. They are absolutely protecting, like I always say, I feel like a broken record at this point, their next class of slaves, their electoral serfs that are going to replace the Black Americans. See, Black Americans, it's funny because they have given the Democrat Party their loyalty, and they didn't even have to get anything in return. I mean, outside of a little welfareism and stuff like that, like some EBT and some food stamps and stuff, and a little bit of voting rights. But for the most part, Black people willingly give the Democrat Party their vote. And the Democrat Party is under no obligation to advocate on the behalf of their constituents because they know that you are going to vote blue no matter who. But I thought the part that was interesting about the Congresswoman's remarks here was that she mentioned the word reparations. And I realized that a lot of Black people clutched their pearls when they saw that, and they took grave offense to it. Now, it's selective outrage, and I don't really take the outrage really serious, because if they did, they would do something different and they'd stop supporting a party that has done, and when I say has done nothing for them, I'm not saying that as a flex, but has done everything to them. Remember, my worldview is one where I believe that you don't want a political party to do something for you. What you want is for them to get the heck out of your way so that you can function in your freedom, and you want them to remove the artificial weights and the barriers and the roadblocks that are in your way that prevent you from being a full participant as an American citizen in this country. Meaning, an artificial weight would be excessive taxation, like what they're doing up in New York City with Zohran Mamdani. That's an artificial weight. The inability to keep more of what you earn is an artificial weight. We don't want Democrats or Republicans. This is why I have issue with the EBT Republican. You know, that's the so-called conservative, particularly of the Black melanin persuasion. It's always whining and crying and begging and groveling and asking, give us free. No. That's not conservatism, nor is that what it truly means to be an American. American and functioning in your freedom and liberty is do not harm me. Don't put artificial weights in my way that prevent me from doing what it is that I need to do. And Democrats overwhelmingly do that. High taxation is one example. School choice or the lack thereof. Them refusing to acknowledge that the Department of Education is an abject failure and it needs to be abolished, and you need to give the power back to the states so states can decide, hey, we're going to take our money, the tax money and the resources, and for those who want access to public education, here it is. You can get this bottom of the barrel, poor performing school, and you can have it and we'll let you go to it for free. However, we're also going to give you the option to choose the educational outcome that is best. Something must have bit me. That is best for your family. So that means they would take your tax money and essentially give it back to you, allowing you to keep more of what you earn so your children can be educated how you see fit. So for example, in my family, I am a home educator. I've always educated my children, and I've done so at my own expense, even though a portion of my property taxes on the home that I am have a mortgage on, a portion of my property taxes goes to support a local school system, and my children don't get any benefit from that at all. In fact, I am funding failure, and I don't like that. I don't want to fund failure. I want to put my money and invest it in things that are going to yield a positive result, okay? Not a negative one. But anyway, let's deal with the reparations part, because I know this is the part that caused a lot of Black people a lot of consternation. They were very upset because they're like, how dare this Democrat sit and advocate for reparations for illegal immigrants when we've been out here whining and crying, begging and pleading for reparations for almost 200 years, or over 160 years. Well, here's my response to that. First of all, you're never going to get it. All right. I know you are holding out hope and praying that there's going to be a Democrat politician that's going to come along and they're going to make all of your reparation dreams come true and give you reparations in the form of cash payments. Okay. That's not going to happen. And two, you're not owed it. I know that's shocking. Clutch your pearls there too. I know you believe that your ancestors toiled the land and picked the cotton for free, but that was their choice. Okay, they could have run away. They could have chose death. They could have chose a myriad of other options available to them, but they didn't, because they preferred the comforts of slavery and staying on the plantation with the master and the people that they knew than to risk it all and attempt to run away, or even better, kill their slave master, kill the overseer, kill the missus. I mean, completely take over the plantation. It was more of y'all than it was of them, and yet you didn't do it. I learned about something recently, that when the Civil War started and the fighting was really, really intense, and the Confederacy was losing a lot of soldiers, they implemented this 20 slave rule, where basically they said, listen, if you have a plantation with 20 or more slaves on it and you are a slave owner, you don't need to go and fight on behalf of the Confederacy, because we understand that you need to stay and man the plantation. And so for every 20 slaves that you have, if you have 20 or more slaves, you can stay. Now tell me why they were so comfortable passing a piece of legislation like that, or having a rule or an act that says if you have 20 or more slaves, you don't have to go and fight, because we understand that you need to keep and maintain order on your plantation. You mean to tell me 20, just 20, right? 20 slaves for one master? That is telling you that they never expected those slaves to fight back, because if one master can control 20 slaves, I mean, most of which were men, because you needed the men to do the hard, the back breaking labor, that's not saying much for the slave. So if you're out here begging for reparations and you were never a slave and you are now mad and upset, now, I mean, you should be upset for other reasons, not because of the reparations argument, but I'm just here sipping my popcorn and I mean, not sipping popcorn. You don't sip popcorn. You eat popcorn and sipping my lemon water because I'm like, y'all missed the plot. These Democrats have been playing in your face, and they have been telling you that you belong to them. They're not going to give you anything. They're not going to advocate for your best interest because at the end of the day, they don't have to. If 20 of them could be subjugated and oppressed and controlled by one white man, why would they have any incentive to do anything for millions of y'all? Because your loyalty has been proven over time. You're not going to do anything. You're definitely not going to stop voting for him because you love your master. Master been good to you. You love him. That's why you protect him and you fight at all costs. If somebody says a cross word about your master, let me say something bad about Democrats and see all the pro wokey woke blackity blacks come out and try to defend it. It's because they love slavery. They love being in a subordinate position of subjugation and oppression because it's comfortable. You already know what to expect. You already know Massa ain't gonna do no more than what he need to do, and I'm okay with that. I mean, he give me a little EBT, little Section 8, you know, a little Medicaid here and there. I'm good, you know. I mean, the schools ain't no good, but you know, it is what it is. So I wanted to cover this. And I want to cover it from a different perspective than everybody else is covering it, because everybody else is mad about the reparations statement. And that's not the part that bothered me. The part that bothered me is the fact that she wants to prosecute Americans because she has this perception in her mind that protecting this nation's border and going to apprehend people who have entered this country unlawfully and they're here illegally, sucking up all our resources. She's mad at the Americans who have signed up for the job to say, not on our watch, you got to go back from wherever the heck you came from. That's where my contention is. That's why I'm mad. I ain't even mad at the reparations argument because I already know you're not going to get it, nor do you deserve it. Show me the scars on your back where you were whipped and you picked cotton for free. Now hear me, my argument is not that because you've never been a slave and you never picked cotton, that's part of the reason why you're not owed reparation. But the other part of the reason why I don't believe you're owed reparations is because we had slaves that chose freedom. They chose the unknown and the discomfort of freedom or death over the submitting to the institution of slavery. If anybody should get reparations, it should be them. But those who chose not to revolt, not to rebel, who chose not to run away, and who submitted themselves to the bondage of slavery, you get nothing. You could have got your freedom and you could have signed up and fought for the Union Army during the Civil War when the Republicans were out here tearing up a whole nation with trillions and trillions of dollars worth of damage. Over 600 lives perished just to free you. Over 600,000 Americans' lives were lost. Black men and white men fought to free you. How ungrateful are you to want to demand payment when you didn't suffer? Y'all are out here whining and crying more than those who actually suffered under the peril and terror of slavery. It is incredibly ungrateful, rude, and disrespectful, and arrogant for you to beg for reparations when you've never been harmed. You've never been harmed. You never experienced oppression at all. Hear me clearly. I know it makes a lot of people uncomfortable when I talk about slavery being a choice and how many of our ancestors, you know, they chose slavery. I'm not judging them for it. It's the ones on the back end of history who are complaining. Y'all are the ones complaining and you ain't never been through nothing. You didn't have to make a choice and decide, am I going to risk it all and attempt to be free? Or I'm just going to stay here and remain a slave. You were not faced with that decision. So why would you think that you have the right to receive financial compensation when not only did you suffer nothing, you've never been even placed in the position to have to make such a choice. And yes, it was a choice. You could chose freedom, death. You could have chose to remain a slave, but complaining about it, you don't get that right. You don't get that luxury. You don't deserve to be compensated when you've sacrificed nothing. Instead, you should be grateful that perhaps your ancestors said, you know what? Choosing slavery is better for me because one day emancipation will come for my progeny and they won't have to deal with the terror and the ills of slavery, and they'll walk around with their heads held high and they'll be grateful for the sacrifice I'm making today. Instead, you spit on what they've done and arrogantly demand that someone pay you when all you've done is just exist and be lazy and suck up God's wonderful oxygen. You get nothing. So I needed to come back. I don't know. The sun was kind of wilding out, but I wanted to clarify that if 200,000 slaves could choose freedom, that means there could have been more. There could have been more. But whatever they chose, it was their choice. And you don't get the right to come on the back end demanding to be paid for a sacrifice that you never made. Y'all always talk about what your ancestors did. Well, you're an embarrassment to your ancestors by even thinking you deserve compensation when you've lived in the most freest nation in the most freest time of U.S. American history. Shame on you. Your emancipation came without your knowledge, your participation, or your permission. And you want somebody out here advocating on your behalf for reparations to give you some money? Why? So you could be lazy and not do anything to change your current trajectory of your life or the station that you're in right now? You're there because you want to be, because you keep voting for Democrats. So now I don't feel sorry for you. And no, I'm not mad that she said that we need to seek some sort of reparations for illegal immigrants. One, they're not going to get it. And two, they're telling you who it is that they advocate for the most. And it is not you or we, the people, the American people. It is their next class of slaves, their electoral serfs that they want to exploit for their own power. See, they have to import an immigrant class that is used to socialism and accustomed to communism and harsh conditions. They decided to bring those people over here because they figured, well, they're already used to getting scraps of bread and just a piece of something. So if we bring them over here and advocate for them, we can earn their loyalty that way and then treat them like we treated the blacks and give them a piece of something here, a piece of something there, but never really removing the artificial weights out of their way for them to function in their freedom. And black people are realizing that, wait a minute, we are being replaced. And for some of them, they don't even care because the comforts of slavery is comfortable just enough to where they'll say, well, it ain't that bad, so we might as well open up the doors to the illegal immigrant and give them some of our stuff too. It is a defeatist mindset. And I just thought that comment was rich. That was an incredibly powerful 23 seconds of stir-fried foolishness marinated in dumb. But she said it, and she's getting backlash from the bliggities and the provocative blackity blacks. But in my opinion, her backlash, the backlash she's getting is not, it's misplaced. Don't be mad that she said that we should give them reparations. You need to be mad that she wants to prosecute Americans who are going out of their way to preserve what it means to be a citizen and to preserve liberty for you so that these illegal immigrants don't come over here and pillage and exploit your resources for their benefit. That's what you should really be mad about. But the reparations part? Nah, I don't be mad about reparations. I ain't getting no daggone reparations. You got your reparations the moment the blood was shed on American soil by freed black men and black men who were willing to fight for their freedom. Their blood is in the soil. And it's the reason why you were here free today. So I know this is not a take that y'all are used to hearing, but I can't help it. I'm actually working on a documentary. That's why I'm here in the hot sun. I'm working on a documentary called Slavery is a Choice. And that is the assertion and the position I take. And it's meant to be provocative, and it's meant to make you clutch your pearls, and it's meant to make you think that, has this woman lost her mind? Yes, I want you to think that I've lost my mind, so that you can come and support the film and watch the film and listen to the argumentation presented. And I can guarantee you, you're not going to walk away from watching this documentary still believing that you had no choice. You're just not going to do it. I'm that confident in the outcomes of what's going to happen when you watch this film and you listen to what me and Vince Everett Ellison have to say after we tell this story of liberty and justice for all. So I'm curious to know, what do y'all think about Jaya Paul? What's her first name? I can't remember her first name. Oh, Lord, I hear that crazy drone. What are your thoughts? Could you believe what she said? And did you miss the part of her wanting to prosecute ICE and Border Patrol or anyone who is attempting to hold the illegal immigrant accountable, but instead they want to hold the law-abiding citizen and those entrusted with the responsibility for enacting and maintaining law and order? She want to prosecute them. Or did you get caught up on the reparations argument? Because y'all already know how I feel about reparations. Speaking of which, I'm going to link to this video. I'm going to put it in the description, and then it'll be the video the next up on my position on reparations. And I'll probably lose some subscribers over it, but what's new? I do what I do because I'm committed to the truth, not because I need you to like me. That's why I have a husband and children. They like me, right? They like me and they love me. So anyway, until next time, you guys, stand firm, stand bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace. If he don't get that drone out my face, Lord have mercy. Anyway, y'all take care.